Listen, I'm not even going to try to pretend that I'm someone who likes algebra, but at least I appreciate that I had the chance to learn it. And that's why this new study stuck out to me, because it found that race and income levels affect whether students have access to advanced classes, specifically eighth grade algebra. And this is according to NWEA, the Northwest Evaluation Association. They collected data that shows that fewer than half of high poverty and majority Black and Latino schools offer algebra in the eighth grade. Ability is not the deciding factor. Among high achieving students, it's placement practices that are driving inequities. And let's talk about this with Allison Socol. She's Vice President of P12 Policy Practice and Research at EdTrust. Allison, thank you for your time. So let's go through some of the numbers. Again, this is from NWEA, but I know you can speak to this more broadly. They tracked the top 20% of fifth grade achievers in the country. And by the time they completed eighth grade, 84% of Asian students had taken algebra, 68% of whites and Latinos, only 60% of Black students. Is there a simple explanation for why there's this disparity, even among the top performers?
Great to be with you today. So NWEA's research confirms many other studies, including from EdTrust, that show that Black and Latino students and students from low-income backgrounds are shut out of rigorous courses, including algebra in eighth grade. And that's happening for a number of reasons. There are still too many middle schools that don't even offer algebra. In the schools that serve the most students of color and students from low-income backgrounds, there might just be one teacher or one class, one period where it's offered. There just aren't enough seats. But the biggest driver is that in the schools that offer algebra, bright and eager students of color and students from low-income backgrounds aren't being given a fair shot. They aren't being enrolled in these courses at the same rates as their white and affluent peers, even when they are demonstrating that they are ready and eager.
Okay, so let's talk about, somebody at home might be wondering, why are we focusing on one class, algebra in eighth grade? Why is that so crucial?
Absolutely. So let's start with math is really important. Students who do well in math are more likely to graduate high school, go to college and graduate. Careers that require math and science skills are growing rapidly and often have higher wages. And algebra in eighth grade is like a gateway. So students who are given the opportunity to take and succeed in algebra in eighth grade, when they get to high school, can take a whole series of math courses that lead to calculus. And calculus is often used by universities to determine whether students are college ready and whether they get in. And so that decision about algebra that adults are making, who gets in and who doesn't, isn't just a decision that impacts a 13 or 14-year-old. It has an impact on their entire high school experience and could even impact their college and career choices.
And so while you're thinking in the 11th grade, you're working on community service and being a more well-rounded applicant, a decision made when you were probably in middle school about whether you could take algebra has already set you behind. That's why I think this is so important. Let me ask you this.
Exactly.
What fixes it?
So there's actually really promising policy that a number of states and a few districts in the last few years have adopted, and it's really exciting. Basically, what the policy does is require districts and schools to automatically enroll students who are clearly demonstrating on assessments that they're ready for a more rigorous course, like eighth grade Algebra 1. Of course, families and students have the option to opt out if they feel like it's not the right fit, but it's the option to opt out rather than putting the burden on families and students to fight to be let in. And in the states and districts that have adopted this policy, the numbers of kids, especially kids of color, who suddenly have access to algebra in eighth grade has risen dramatically, and they're doing great.
So folks at home, when you see those nieces and nephews and grandkids on Thanksgiving break, ask if they're taking algebra or if they can even get the chance to get in to eighth grade algebra. Allison Socol with EdTrust, I thank you so much for driving the point home.